Dinomorphia branded. I didn't think that that's a phrase that you would hear me say anytime. Actually, yeah, it is, because we predicted this to be one of the more interesting variants to show up. I'm back. 30% of you guys have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder. All right, so the NLG breakdown here for their case tournament out of this past weekend paints a very, very interesting story for the format here. We had two Flanders players making their way into Top Cut here. We know that the Birds of Prey essentially, basically, are able to set up. An interesting thing about Birds, though, both Flanders players got, what was it, third and fourth, respectively, for this event, which is actually pretty interesting. We had two Eldritch branded decks make it into Top Cut here, and I will say that I think that Eldritch branded is going to be the more potent version of Eldritch going forward here. I mean, you get access to the trap cards, and you get access to a fusion package. Why would you not want to play like the best of both worlds here, especially when it's just that easy to have access to it? All right? I feel like people are crazy that they don't want to like mix up these ideas and try them. We also had two Sword Soul decks in Top Cut. Not really surprised about that, to be honest with you, considering the fact that it's literally one of the easiest decks to just have from like the previous format. Pick it up and you're like, oh wait, cool, good to go. And then we had two branded decks, and the winning, well, technically first, second here, show that we had some interesting little stuff here, but the fact that the Dinomorphia build was able to kind of polish it out, and a lot of people aren't really like prepared for a Rexstrom to just come down out of left field and go, oh my god, like, what am I supposed to do about that? Especially, you know, present in the current build of Despia, where you're already, like, doing full Despia shenanigans, and then during your opponent's turn, you layer down an extra floodgate on them. You know, the only real thing that you lose to is a super polymerization ruining your day, but, I mean, that's just kind of how it works. Let's pass it on into those deck lists now, shall we? All right, top 8 for this event, we have branded Despia here. We have Super Polys built into the main deck, of course, either you're maining them or you're siding them. This is not playing Allure Darkness. I will say, a lot of the Allure Darkness builds pretty much came out really hard-hitting out of the national season this weekend, which is actually very impressive. Of course, the one branded loss, the opponent can't respond. Triple copies of Croissant Designators, and yeah, it's actually kind of interesting to see, like, I guess the little value you get out of playing the sub package for Ecclesia for this deck, because it just fuels into an additional negate here that you basically just get to search for free, right? Because you're like, oh, cool, I can go ahead and do a full fusion combo. All right, cool, job's done. Special summon the Ecclesia, search for the Fleur-de-Lis. I now have a backup negate fully loaded up for the opponent to not be able to do anything. Seems good to me. All right, so outside of that, pretty straightforward stuff here, at least in my opinion. Next up here is Sword Soul Tourney. Alright, so we are playing double Crow in the main deck here. Only 2 copies of Croissant Designator. Double Taille is fine. No Synthana for water. And we are also not playing, we're playing 3 Incredible Ecclesia versus 2. I'm starting to like just be concerned by the fact that the 2 versus 3 for this is such an interesting little deck choice here. I also see down here that we have Baguski. I've started to notice that Baguska was gaining a little bit of presence as of late. It's nothing too crazy per se, but you can definitely tell that players are starting to have an interest in this little teddy bear here, especially in Sword Soul, because just being able to like get 2 level 4s established, and then you're like, oh no, whatever will I do? You can just go ahead and make the teddy bear, shift everything to defense mode, and congratulations, you have a walking, talking floodgate that the opponent can't do anything about. Seems good to me. Next up is our other Sword Soul variant here. So this is our Synthana. We have triple DD Crow in this bad boy. Alright, so I suppose whatever ends up happening here, that we have to basically, I guess, make an attempt to slow down the game or have better hand trap outages. Yeah, you're going to need this. Is like this between like Valor and Crow, like I guess your option trees for what you really want to see right now. But Ghost Bell is very, very strong in terms of hand traps. No Heavenly Dragon Cycle and only double Vassal in here. I guess you just kind of interchange if you want to see the Synthana versus like the 3rd Dragon Cycle from what I'm kind of starting to see here. Also Anti-Spell Fragrance power card. Also, Chalice is in the side deck. It's kind of interesting. Chalice has been everywhere, man. Like, either you play Chalice, you don't play Chalice, or you main it. Like, so many different opinions on this card that it's actually ridiculous at this point in time. Next up here is our first Flounder list here, making it into top 4. And as you can see here, yes, we are playing 1 copy of Mystic Mine in the main deck, and we are citing 2 more copies of Mystic Mine. It's actually... Is it wrong to say that Mystic Mine has become a little bit of a cornerstone here for the bird deck? Just because Mystic Mine kind of rounds out some of your worst advantages overall. Called by the Grave in here, like I said, we've seen Change of Heart show up in Flunder list over this week, which means that players are kind of messing around with ideas, which is a good thing. All right. Outside of that, Double Book of Moon, pretty standardized, double M-Pen, Apex Avion, and the Mega Ryza. All, yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. I don't see anything else really too crazy for this Flunder list to really talk about, because once again, this deck it gets very streamlined at the end of the day. Next up here is our other Flunder list. Oh, we got some diversity back here in this one. We have Change of Heart built into the main deck. There's the Double Book of Moon. Honestly, the fact that Flunder can get away with playing the Change of Heart now. Once again, it's a power card. You see it, you rip apart your opponent's field. All right, like, oh, you have a Mirror Jade or another boss monster? Let's just move that on over here so I can now play the game. And then we've also seen Harpy Harpist gaining a little bit of traction here. On normal summon, you target one other Wing Beast monster you control on a face-up card your opponent controls. They just bounce back to your hand. This is basically an interaction point for the deck, for bounceability. Also, we're playing double Stormwinds in here. I've seen double Stormwinds show up before. It wasn't anything too crazy at the end of the day here, but the fact that these are things that you can search and disrupt the opponent with is very, very crucial. All right, so if they break one storm, when they see the second, they screech. Next up is our first second here. This is the first list. This is Lewis A here. And this is our branded Eldritch deck. Cursed Eldlands built in here, so we can get searching. So this is what I mean. Like, you get to take advantage of Ecclesias with Fleur de Lis. All right, you get punishments in here. You have the mini Fallen of Albaz package in here. And you just get to slam down branded fusions and then climb up into Albion in the Mirror Jade and just laugh at your opponent. Like, 95% of the time, your opponent's going to have a massive issue with this. And there's nothing that they can really do. Also, shout out to actually seeing Eldritch, the Matter Golden Lord in here. The fact that you can have access to this thing, not only is like a super poly target via the mirror match, but this guy can come up and your opponent's just going to be like, what do I do about this? All right, because until you see this thing running around on the field with its 3,800 body, you're just like, oh no, not a good time. And then our first place winning list here was, in fact, yes, branded Despia. Now, the cool thing about this deck is, if you see a Thursia, all right, so Thursia will set the Frenzy. All right, now the whole reason why this deck is able to function and do the things that it wants to do is because Frenzy, during the opponent's main phase, pay half your life points, you get to fusion summon a Dinomorphia monster from your extra deck. Using a monster from your deck, and one from your extra deck is fusion material. All right, and then when your opponent activates this card effect, 2,000 or less, you take no effect damage, blah, blah, blah. We don't care too much about that. So you'll make Kingrina here. Kingrina has the effect that lets you, once per turn, quick effect, pay half your life points, banish a Dinomorphia normal trap card from your graveyard. This effect becomes that card's effect. So we just get to copy Frenzy again, send another Stealth Greener here and another Thursia from the deck. And congratulations, you get to make Rexstrom here. And Mr. Rexstrom has that beautiful ability. Your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters they control that have an attack greater than or equal to your life points. You can only use each following effects of Rexstrom once per turn. Quick effect, pay half your life points. The attack of all monsters your opponent currently controls become equal to your life points until the end of this turn. If it's destroyed by battle card effect, especially in level 6 or lower Dinomorphia, here's the thing. You set yourself down at 2,000, and then you can Rexstrom, pay 1,000, go down to 1,000 life points. Your opponent effectively can't play the game at all. Plus, with the rest of your Despia core being set the way it is an incredibly interesting little engine that you can have access to. Your opponent's just like, what do I do? And the answer is they do nothing. So guys, what do you think about this little breakdown of things. Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you're saying. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.